I never thought I'd be the one telling this story. But here I am. Jack Harlan, a retired IRS investigator from the wilds of Montana, piecing together the nightmare that stole my only son from me. It all started in the crisp spring of 2024, out here in Big Sky Country, where the Rockies meet the endless prairies.
My boy,
Wyatt Harlan was a tough-as-nails Marine who'd done 3 tours in Afghanistan, earning himself a Purple Heart for dragging his buddies out of a roadside ambush. He came home to our family ranch on Flathead Lake, a sprawling 500-acre spread with a cozy log cabin overlooking the water, where we'd spent summers roping cattle, fishing for trout, and sharing stories around the campfire. Wyatt was 28, full of life despite the PTSD that haunted him, but he met Sarah Jennings at a VA support group in Kalispell. She was a sharp insurance broker, all smiles and sympathy, and before long, they were hitched in a small ceremony by the lake. Sarah seemed like a godsend at first. She handled the paperwork for Wyatt's disability benefits, set up his life insurance, a hefty $1.2 million policy through her company, and even helped manage the ranch's finances when Wyatt's episodes made it tough for him to focus. But cracks started showing. Wyatt would call me late at night, his voice shaky over the crackling phone line.
Dad.
Money's vanishing from my accounts. Sarah says it's just bills. But I swear I didn't authorize those transfers. I'd brush it off as stress from his meds or the war memories, telling him to talk it out with her.
God.
How I regret that now. On March 15th, 2024, just after midnight, the Flathead County Sheriff's deputy knocked on my cabin door. Mr. Harlan, we need you to come down to the scene. Wyatt had taken his service pistol to the old barn, ending it all with a single shot. The note they found was short, "Can't take the lies anymore." But I knew there was more to it. The funeral was a blur under the wide Montana sky. Veterans from Wyatt's unit folding the flag over his casket while Sarah played the part of the devastated widow, dabbing her eyes in a black dress that probably cost more than my monthly pension. Folks from town offered condolences, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. Wyatt had left me a hidden letter, tucked inside his Purple Heart box in the cabin's attic, 3 pages of his scrawled handwriting detailing how Sarah had been siphoning his VA checks, changing passwords on his accounts, even picking up his prescriptions and forgetting to give them to him when he questioned the money. She's gaslighting me?
Dad.
Says I'm paranoid from the PTSD. No one will believe a broken vet. It hit me like a gut punch. Sarah wasn't just careless, she was a predator. 3 months later, with the grief still raw as a fresh brand, Sarah started circling. The ranch was in Wyatt's name.
No mortgage.
Valued at around $850,000 with that prime lakefront view. She'd inherited his life insurance and benefits. But she wanted more. She showed up unannounced one sunny afternoon, pulling her SUV up the dirt drive. Jack, this place is too much for one man your age. The property taxes alone, $14,000 a year. You can't swing that on your pension. She sipped coffee at my kitchen table, her voice all honeyed concern. Let me help. Sign over the deed, and I'll make sure you're taken care of. You can stay in the guest cabin. I played along, acting the part of the befuddled old-timer. But inside, my 25 years chasing tax cheats and financial scammers for the feds kicked in. I wasn't about to let her bulldoze me.
See.
In Montana, elder financial abuse is a felony under state law. And with Wyatt's veteran status, it could escalate to federal if it crossed wires with VA benefits or insurance fraud. I started documenting quietly, photocopying bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals from Wyatt's accounts, $200 here, $500 there, adding up to over $150,000. I reached out to an old colleague, FBI agent Laura Ramirez, who'd worked elder abuse cases with me back in the day. Jack, if she's coercing you, we can build a case. But we need solid evidence, recordings, witnesses. I got a small digital recorder, legal under Montana's one-party consent law, and hid it in my shirt pocket for our next chats. Sarah kept pushing, her visits turning from suggestions to demands. Jack, be realistic. Wyatt would have wanted me to handle this. But I knew the truth. She'd isolated him, blocked my calls to him in those final weeks, and now she was trying the same on me. As summer rolled in, with the lakes sparkling under the sun and tourists flocking to Glacier National Park nearby, the pressure mounted. Sarah brought papers for me to sign, power of attorney over my finances,
Date transfers. Y destal.
saying I needed to mull it over like any cautious rancher. Each time, she'd slip, revealing more. Wyatt was so messed up. Jack. The drinking, the paranoia, he accused me of things that weren't real. But I had his medical records from the VA clinic in Missoula, showing she'd collected his antidepressants multiple times without him logging refills. It was tampering, plain and simple. A Class C felony here. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, she cornered me on the porch. If you don't sign, I'll have to contest the will. Claim you're not fit due to grief. The courts here don't mess around with incompetent elders. Her eyes were cold, like a coyote eyeing prey. I nodded meekly. But that night, I emailed the recordings to Laura. The noose was tightening, and Sarah had no clue she was tying it herself. By July, the Montana heat was bearing down, wildflowers blooming along the ranch fences. But inside, my world was a storm. Sarah's manipulations were escalating. Just like I'd seen in dozens of cases during my IRS days, predators always get bolder when they smell weakness. She started showing up with evidence of Wyatt's decline. Photos on her phone of him passed out after a bad night. Videos of him ranting about missing money. See, Jack? He was unstable. If this gets out, social media, local news, it'll tarnish his hero status. The Purple Heart ceremony at the VFW hall? Folks might think twice. It was blackmail. Pure and simple. Illegal under federal extortion laws. But I kept my cool, letting her talk while the recorder captured every word. I dove deeper into building the case. With Laura's help, we subpoenaed bank records quietly, no need to tip Sarah off yet. Turns out, she'd transferred funds from Wyatt's VA disability account to her own, forging his signature on forms. That's wire fraud, a federal offense carrying up to 20 years. And the life insurance? She'd pushed Wyatt to name her sole beneficiary right after their wedding, citing tax advantages, but now, with his suicide note hinting at abuse, the payout was under review by the insurer. Sarah was getting desperate, calling me daily. Jack, the probate court's asking questions. Sign the ranch over, and I'll handle it. I pretended to waver, signing minor docs like utility transfers to keep her hooked, but holding back on the big ones. One scorching afternoon, as I mended fences near the lake, Sarah pulled up in a cloud of dust. We need to settle this. Jack. Wyatt's birthday is coming up in November. Let's make it his memorial. Wrap everything up. She spread papers on the tailgate of my truck, full power of attorney.
Ranch date.
You're 62. Not getting younger. The upkeep here, fencing, irrigation, it's too much. She was right about the physical toll. My back ached from years of ranch work, but my mind was sharp as a tack. What if I say no? I asked, testing her. Her face hardened. Then I share those photos. Tell the VA he was an addict making false claims. His benefits could be revoked retroactively. You'd owe back taxes. It was a bluff. VA benefits aren't clawed back like that. But it showed her greed. That conversation? Gold for the case. Behind the scenes, I connected with prosecutor Mike Donovan, a Kalispell native who'd served with Wyatt's unit. He was furious reading Wyatt's hidden note. This is elder abuse compounded by veteran exploitation. Jack. We can hit her with state charges for financial exploitation and federal for the fraud. We planned meticulously. I'd wear a wire for the next big meet.
Courtesy of the FBI.
Montana law allows it for investigations. And, with probable cause from the recordings, it was greenlit. Meanwhile, I reached out to Wyatt's old squad mates, guys like Ramirez and Chin, who confirmed he'd confided in them about Sarah's control. She cut him off from us, Ramirez said over a beer at the local VFW. Said we were triggering his PTSD. Isolation. Classic abuser tactic. As August brought thunderstorms rolling over the Rockies, Sarah amped up the threats. She texted photos of Wyatt at his lowest, captioning, "Don't make me go public. Jack." I saved them all, evidence of harassment. One night, she showed up uninvited, pounding on the cabin door amid pouring rain. "Sign now, or I'll petition the court for guardianship. Say your griefs made you incompetent." I let her in, the wire humming in my pocket. She ranted for an hour, admitting she'd managed Wyatt's meds to calm him down when he questioned finances, boasting how she'd siphoned funds for our future. It was a confession jackpot. After she left, I called Laura. We've got her dead to rights. But grief hit hard too. Nights alone in the cabin, staring at Wyatt's carved initials on the old pine beam, WHO8 from when he was a kid, I'd break down. Why hadn't I seen the signs? Financial abuse isn't always obvious. It's subtle, like a slow bleed. Sarah preyed on Wyatt's trust, his vulnerabilities from war. I channeled the pain into the investigation, poring over laws, Montana's Vulnerable Adult Protection Act, Federal Elder Justice Act. It was clear her actions violated both. By September, with fall leaves turning gold along the lake, we had a dossier, bank trails, medical logs, witness statements, 10 hours of audio. Sarah thought she was winning, but she was walking into a trap. Wyatt's birthday memorial? That'd be the day we sprung it. October's chill settled over the ranch, frost glazing the pastures as elk bugled in the distant hills. Sarah was unraveling, her visits frantic. "Jack, the insurance is stalling. They want more docs on Wyatt's mental state." She paced the cabin, eyes darting. I nodded sympathetically, but inside, I knew why. The insurer had flagged potential fraud after an anonymous tip, mine, through Laura. "Help me out here," she pleaded, shoving papers at me. The wire captured her slip. I handled his pills because he was erratic. It was for his own good. Tampering admission, bingo. Under federal law, that's a controlled substance violation. We escalated. Laura got a warrant for Sarah's financials. Turns out, she'd targeted others, elderly clients in her insurance gig, siphoning premiums. Pattern of behavior. Strengthening the case. Mike Donovan filed charges quietly. State felony exploitation. Federal wire fraud and extortion. Arrest warrant pending. I played my role, inviting her for talks at the ranch. One crisp morning, as mist rose off the lake, she arrived with a notary, pushing for the deed signing. "This ends today, Jack." Her voice cracked with desperation. I stalled, asking questions that prodded confessions. "Did you really hide Wyatt's meds?" She snapped. He was accusing me falsely. I had to control things. More audio gold. The confrontation peaked mid-month. Sarah stormed in, waving a tablet. Look at these emails from Wyatt, paranoid rants. If you don't sign, I'll leak them to the press. Ruin his legacy. Extortion. Recorded. I stood firm. Wyatt trusted you.
Sarah.
Why betray him? She laughed bitterly. He was weak.
Jack.
Easy to manage. That was it. Pure predator. After she left, Laura confirmed, we have enough for indictment. Wyatt's squad mates testified in affidavits about his sharpness, contradicting her unstable narrative. November 15th dawned clear. Wyatt's birthday. The ranch glowed under autumn sun as friends gathered for a memorial barbecue, steaks on the grill. Stories shared by the fire pit. Sarah arrived smug, papers in hand. Time to settle. Jack. As she pushed the deed, deputies pulled up, lights flashing but no sirens, respectful for the occasion. Sarah Jennings, you're under arrest for financial exploitation.
Wide fraud.
And extortion. Her face drained of color as they cuffed her.
What? Jack.
You set me up? I met her eyes. For Wyatt. The crowd watched in shock. But his buddies nodded, justice served. Post-arrest. The case built steam. Sarah lawyered up, claiming it was all misunderstandings, but the evidence was ironclad. Media picked it up locally. Montana widow charged in veterans' financial abuse. It spotlighted veteran vulnerabilities, sparking VA reforms in the state. I testified in grand jury, detailing the abuse. Sarah was held without bail, flight risk. Meanwhile, I focused on healing, joining a grief group in Missoula, where folks shared similar stories. It hit me, this wasn't just revenge. It was about preventing more pain. By December, pretrial motions flew. Sarah's defense tried suppressing the recordings, but Montana law held. The insurer clawed back part of the payout, donating it to veteran causes. I visited Wyatt's grave at the National Cemetery in Missoula, whispering updates. We're getting justice.
Son.
The ranch felt lighter. The lake's waves a soothing rhythm. Sarah's other victims emerged, a World War II vet she'd scammed, a widow in Bozeman. Charges piled on. As snow blanketed the Rockies, I prepared for trial, knowing this fight would echo far beyond our valley. Winter gripped Montana, snowdrifts piling against the cabin as the federal trial kicked off in January 2025 in Missoula's courthouse. Sarah sat defiant in a suit, her lawyer spinning tales of a troubled marriage and grieving misunderstandings. But Prosecutor Donovan dismantled it piece by piece. First, bank experts testified to the forged transfers, $180,000 siphoned.
Then, vad Oxhovet med tampering?
Wyatt's hidden note was read aloud, his words hanging heavy. She's breaking me, Dad. Jurors shifted uncomfortably. The recording sealed it. 12 hours of Sarah's threats. Admissions. I controlled his meds for his good, her voice echoed. Gasps rippled through the room. Defense called witnesses praising her as a devoted wife, but cross-exam shredded them. One admitted seeing her berate Wyatt. I took the stand, voice steady. She preyed on his trust. Then mine. But evidence doesn't lie. Sarah avoided my gaze. Wyatt's squad mates testified to his lucidity, debunking her paranoid claims. Closing arguments, Donovan thundered. This is predatory abuse targeting a hero. Defense pleaded for mercy. Jury deliberated 2 hours, guilty on all counts, exploitation, fraud, extortion, tampering. Sentencing loomed. Sarah's mask cracked. She requested a meeting. In the sterile jail visitor room, She sobbed. Jack, I was drowning in debt. It spiraled,
No excuses.
but a hint of remorse. I never meant for Wyatt to. Her voice broke. I listened, anger softening slightly, human frailty. Perhaps. Judge Elena Torres sentenced her to 10 years federal time, plus restitution of $220,000. Your actions destroyed a veteran. Now face the consequences. As marshals led her away, Sarah whispered,
I'm sorry.
I nodded. Not forgiveness yet, but acknowledgement. Outside, snow fell softly. Media swarmed. Montana case highlights veteran abuse. It spurred the Wyatt Harlan Act in Congress, mandatory checks for VA handlers, abuse reporting hotlines. Post-trial, ripples spread. Sarah's employer settled a $3.8 million suit for oversight failures. Victims got payouts. I turned the ranch into the Harlan Veterans Sanctuary, free retreats for abused families.
Legal aid on site.
Laura joined as advisor. We handled 22 cases first year, recovering $580,000.
DR.
Emily Ford published on PTSD exploitation using our data, training VA staff nationwide. By spring, as snowmelt fed the lake, Sarah wrote from prison, detailed notes on her tactics, vulnerabilities to watch. Use this to stop others. I did, incorporating into sanctuary programs. It saved lives. One vet caught his sister's theft early, averting crisis. Justice evolved from vengeance to protection. A year on, summer 2026 bathes the ranch in golden light. Wild horses grazing the pastures. Sarah's in federal prison till 2035. Her letters increasingly reflective. Therapy's helping me see the monster I became. No full redemption, but growth. I visited once, sharing how her notes prevented 3 suicides. Wyatt's legacy, I said. She nodded,
Tears falling.
forgiveness? Not wholly, but understanding. Abuse often stems from brokenness. The lesson: vengeance destroys, justice heals. The sanctuary thrives. 45 families helped. $920,000 recovered. 8 predators prosecuted. Montana passed stricter laws. National reforms followed. Wyatt's grave blooms with wildflowers. I update him. Your story saves lives.
Son.
Grief lingers, but purpose prevails. If this touches you, know, spot the signs.
Document.
Seek help. Predators thrive in silence. Light exposes them. In Big Sky Country, we've turned pain into protection, a gentle reminder that even from ashes, hope rises.